Come on, wait. I gotta let the video go. We are ready, guys. Tonight, we invited the writer of the worst Star Wars production of all time to be on our show, but he was too busy working on Knives Out 2. So instead, we got something much better. Woo! Guys.
Yes, I approve.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, the weirdest, coolest Christmas special of all time graced our TV screens and has since weirdly become a cult classic. It was the Star Wars Christmas special of 1978, and one of the writers of that special, the one, the only Bruce Vilanch, is here to fill us in on just what the heck was going on. Welcome to the Con Guy podcast here.
Thank you.
Or we should say,
Bruce.
Hello, Con Guys.
This is
First
quite
Con Guys I've ever met.
All right. As
One
always,
who told me these chins was the other one.
join the club. As always, you're on that hashtag show network.
Aging character actress. I'll just sit here like this.
I'm glad to be here. My name is Jim Fry. I am kind of the Whoopi Goldberg of the Con Guy here, I guess you could say. First, I'd like to hear who else we have with us today. Luke, introduce yourself.
I'm Cheeseman here, one of the Con Guys, one of the founding members, and drinking some eggnog on this happy hour. Got a little brandy in this thing. So cheers, everyone.
Good.
All right. Derek.
Hi, I'm Derek. I'm kind of the angry old embittered veteran of the group, maybe. I don't know. But I was a founding member of the Con Guy. I am drinking cherry tea with a dash of cinnamon.
Oh, fantastic.
I remember her.
Danae, what about you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Danae. I'm here. Katie's not with us tonight, so I guess I'm the only girl on the show. That's weird. But it's nice to be here. Only girl. What? And I guess, does that make me Big Bird? I don't know. Anyways,
I'll be the other
excited.
girl.
And
I'll be
Ben.
the wing girl.
There you go. Hey, everybody, it's me, old buddy Ben Cleaver. Tonight, out of my red cup, I am drinking. Actually, I got sustainable red cups now. These are dishwasher safe. So I'm not throwing one away every night. I made myself a little margarita because it's Tuesday.
Yeah,
That's right.
fully functional for beer pong.
Right on.
Hey, Ben, who's the sponsors?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for tuning in. I forgot this is an official show. This isn't just the happy hour. This is the Con Guy show, not our live happy hour, even though this is still live and it's basically the same thing, except we have a guest, Bruce Vilanch, who's awesome and amazing. But tonight's show is brought to you by Neft Vodka, which reminds you always drink responsibly. There's also brought to you by Death Wish Coffee. Fair trade, highly caffeinated, the world's strongest coffee. If you go to deathwishcoffee.com right now and you use the code #show, you can get 10% off your order. So there you go.
And of course, our amazing guest tonight. He is a comedy writer, a songwriter, an actor, and I think I have this right, a 6-time Emmy Award winner. His name is Bruce Vilanch. He's well known to the public for his awesome time on Hollywood Squares as a celebrity participant and head writer for the show. His super, super duper long resume, we can't go through all that. It includes like 50 Academy Awards, 30 Emmy shows, all the Tony shows, Comic Relief, People's Choice. Not to mention the film Don't Mess with the Zohan, starring Adam Sandler. Tonight, he is here to take us back to 1978, the Star Wars special. And we're going to fill him in a little bit on this year's Lego Star Wars specials too. Bruce, what are you drinking tonight, my friend?
Bonta juice. I'm having a Joan Crawford Diet Snapple, which means it's got as much vodka as it possibly can have in it.
Can I tell you, I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I grew up on the Hollywood Squares, and I used to watch you on the Hollywood Squares. You were so funny. I didn't know that you were a writer.
Yeah, when they brought it back and they said we were comedy in it, they made me the head writer. So and it was booked with people who were funny as much as possible. Because Whoopi was in the center square, so it was they put me on there basically to tame her. They thought that I mean they made me audition. She thought I should host it. So they tested me, and they're like, this one's for the win, Kevin. And they said, we need a bit more mainstream. And then Bergeron came in. But so they put me in a square, and they thought that I would calm her down. But of course, they didn't realize that she is really a Jewish kid, and I am really a black woman. Which, ask anybody who slept with me, they will tell you. So we bonded very well. I mean, I worked with women for years before that on a lot of different things, and we bonded in our squares. We had a great time. But it was a lot of lunatics, Gilbert Gottfried and Caroline Ray and Brad Garrett, and there were a lot of the regulars that kept coming up every week. Were out of their minds, so we had a good time.
I can't believe that's not on anymore. We could use something like that.
Well, it may come back. It's on VH1 as Hip Hop Squares, which the original Squares owners sold it to Viacom as a show because rappers are so funny. And Nick Cannon hosted the first show and walked off, and I don't know who's on it now, but it's like Flavor Flav rules because he's the funny one. And then the other ones are all, they're doing material from 20 years ago. It's just very sad. But once that goes away, they might try reboot. The thing about Hollywood Squares is it was always a hit. It never went away. Those other shows that rebooted were hits the first time, and then they bombed whenever they tried to reboot. So now they're like new. People are discovering Match Game. And
Bruce,
we just never been. You didn't have to discover us. We were always there. Anyway, I just did the last. I wrote for the first show for Paul Lynde towards the end of the. And then I wrote the second version for Joan Rivers and Waylon Flowers, and then I came in to the third one. That's more the history that you want to know about Hollywood Squares.
Oh my gosh, talk about intimidating. You were a writer for Paul Lynde and Joan Rivers. I mean, that's
I know, exactly. And I had to tell them apart, which was very difficult. as Joan kept, getting new faces every time she came in, more and more like a Yorkshire Terrier every time.
All right, Bruce, we have a tradition on the show. The tradition is for first-time guest Derek, con guy Derek, puts him through a very rigorous interview process, which he's going to do.
Oh my God.
And it lasts for a whole minute, and I'm going to pull up the minute clock.
So Jim's going to give us a timer, and I'm going to ask you a number of hard-hitting questions. And the trick is to just not really think about it, just answer it quickly. And if you get through all 20 of these questions, then you win the prize. The prize is that I declare you my new best friend.
Yay. All right.
I've got a lot of new best friends.
I don't have enough Dereks in my life.
Well, if I'm not there, you definitely don't.
All right, guys.
All right.
You about ready, Derek?
I am so ready.
5, 4, 3, 2, go.
Okay, iPhone or Android?
Android.
Best speedster, Flash or Quicksilver?
Best feature what?
Best speedster.
You said it fast. I don't know what it was.
Flash or Quicksilver?
I don't know those.
That's okay. Here's this. Which is worse, a xenomorph in the kitchen or a sarlacc in the toilet?
I have no idea. Anything in the toilet's pretty bad.
Okay, good answer. Which golden girl would you most like to buy a drink from?
B Arthur.
Okay, which golden girl would you most like to buy a drink for?
Estelle, because she'd be hysterical after 2 of them.
Ditto. What's the best Star Wars?
The best Star Wars?
Mm-hmm.
The one with Jar Jar Binks. Barbara Streisand.
What's your favorite starship?
My favorite what?
Starship.
My favorite starship? Enterprise. That's all I can think of.
One more. Excellent answer. Oh, that's a minute.
That's a minute.
But
I like his answer.
I parted around not understanding.
Yeah, it's okay. I was talking Pat.
Nobody else has ever done that, Bruce. Everybody takes it seriously.
Everybody takes it very seriously because these are hard-hitting. This is hard-hitting journalism here.
I don't know.
We got through 8 of them.
What was it with the Quicksilver and something else? It sounded like
Flash.
The Lone Ranger horses. I have no idea what you were talking about.
My bad.
Troglodyte, I barely know that I have an Android.
So, really fast-running superheroes. Flash is the one from the DC universe, and Quicksilver is the one from Marvel.
Oh, that was what that was.
Mm-hmm.
I dated the Flash for a while, but we can't talk about it.
Oh, okay.
What did you say about Jar Jar Binks?
Looks like Barbara Streisand. Put them together, you'll see. Amazing.
Okay.
She is a faithful replica of Jar Jar Binks now.
Oh,
I can picture it.
People run away with the work, is what I'm saying. They need to put like a break on it to say, that's it, this and no more.
all right. Before we talk Star Wars, because I think that's what most people are probably here for tonight. Wait, let me get in the comments though, real quick.
Chins are gone now.
Yeah.
I look like Jabba the
We'll all
Hutt.
do this. Yeah.
I'm auditioning for Jabba the Hutt.
Let's say
If he ever
hello,
comes back.
Jonathan Wilkerson. Glad
Hey,
to
Jonathan.
see you.
Here's John.
And then also Kat Bloodgood. Good to see you.
Bloodgood.
Always love that name.
She's
All right.
got the best name of anyone who shows up in the comments.
So, guys, before we talk about Star Wars tonight, I want to talk a little bit about Amy's career after Star Wars. For example, before we talk about, can we talk a little bit about the 1,000 other things that you've done? How many Oscar shows have you written?
Well, 23 that I was credited on. Sorry, there was dental work today. Credited, and then about a lot of others. I mean, that I came in and wrote for people individually. But I was 23 of them, and we used to toss the head writer credit around. And I was the head writer on a bunch of those. And I was a regular writer. I was a special material. They have a million different ways of short stiffing you for the money. Give you a different title, less money, but different title.
Well, can you tell us what that's like writing for the Oscars, like the biggest show on the planet?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like if you're a football player, you want to be in the Super Bowl. And for the kind of stuff that I do, which is writing jokes for people and things for people to say a lot at the presentation, it's the biggest of one of them all. So it's terrifying, but it's also just a lot of fun knowing that anything you say will echo through the corridors of time. That if you really screw up badly enough, it'll be all over the place forever. And it's, I mean, I watched it when I was a kid, and it was like so glamorous. I wanted to be a part of it, and I had no idea that I would be backstage. I mean, I would someday be on stage stepping over dog shit the dog, the bloodhound had left, Beethoven. I would be guiding Deborah Carr over a pile of turds as we were, boy, glamour. I wanted it. I wanted it. I sat there in Jersey going, take me.
Now, what were some of the favorite lines of the Academy Awards you wrote that were presented by some of these famous actors?
Wow. I remember some of the jokes. I mean,
jokes.
Actually, I remember the jokes that we didn't do.
I want to hear about that.
Tell you that. My favorite was Steve Martin. The first time he hosted, we had a joke. He was going to come out after the monologue, the commercial, and then he would come back out and he would say, "I have good news and bad news." During the monologue, my fly was open the entire time. The good news is I fucked it up. The good news is the camera puts on 10 pounds. I haven't done it totally in so long. I forgot. And at the last minute, he backed out. He said he just it's a cock joke, and I convinced him it was a camera joke. And he said, no, it's a cock joke. We can't do it. But I mean, when I think about the lines now, it's that they have little shelf life. They refer off of things that are happening that night or that year in the movies or something like that. And so that's why I can't think of anything. That and probably I'm coming off the nitrous oxide. I'm having a little jaw work.
Fun afternoon. Oh wait,
It was a fun afternoon. I was spaced out in a chair. She was hammering. Construction work was going on.
Hey, Bruce, do
very
you have a favorite, one of the favorite hosts? Who do you enjoy writing for when it comes to hosting?
Truthfully, I enjoyed all of them, but Steve is my favorite. I mean, if there has to be a favorite, only because he's such an oddball, and his worldview is so skewed. And he will come up with things like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which actually was originally called Siegfried and Roy Vacation Movie. I mean, you have to. He's such an iconoclast, and he's a huge movie star, and so he has the right to make fun of it all. Billy Crystal is like a vaudevillian who does the Billy Crystal special. We did a monologue, a medley. We did film clips. We put him in all the movies. I mean, he's full service. He's fabulous. Whoopi's hysterical. So they're all. I mean, even Letterman was fun, except he's anguished whenever he works. He and Paul Linder, the two people I've worked with, who would never have a good time unless they're working. They have a good time when they're working. The moment the light goes off, they start beating themselves up. Dave just, oh, that was terrible. It was awful. I couldn't. Then he comes back and he's brilliant.
Yeah.
But we did have a good time doing it. He didn't have a good time. I mean, we were backstage at one point during the show, and I said, "How are you feeling?" And he said, "Like I'm in a hostage situation." He's waiting for the SWAT team to get him out of there.
So each year when you were getting ready to write for it, did you actually watch all of the films nominated for Best Picture, or did you just watch some trailers and BS your way through it?
No, I actually watched all of them.
Nice.
I go to the movies a lot, and when there were movies, remember movies?
Yeah.
And then and now they make it so easy for you. I mean, you download everything if you're an Academy voter, send it all to your home. I'd rather see it in the movie. Popcorn and a soda, my hand on somebody who doesn't know I'm there, and much more. I like the experience of being with all these strangers in the dark. I mean, that's the function that movies have. I mean, that's why they'll always be there, and they have societal functions. It's a place to take a date. It's a place to go and be scared. A place to go and laugh. It's a safe place for all of those things, and that's why I can't wait for them to come back. So. Long-winded answer. Yes, I watched them often. When the O.J. Simpson trial was happening, I was interviewed, and they said many people have said this is the trial of the century. What do you think is the trial of the century? And I said the English patient.
Janae, you had something else?
Oh, I was just going to ask, something, a thing that's been going around online, I've noticed a lot, where it's worst case scenario, movie theaters never come back. Everybody wants to know, what is the last movie you would have seen in theaters?
Wow. It was the Elizabeth Olsen. It wasn't The Escape Room or The Panic Room. It was a remake of a Jodie Foster.
Oh, The Invisible Man?
Invisible Man, that was what it was. Invisible Man. That was the last thing I saw in the theater.
Elizabeth Moss.
Before it clamped down. And it was good. It was good. She was fabulous.
Mm-hmm. I have to ask you a question. So, considering this year and the Academy Awards, whatever they're going to look like, if you were to be asked to write the Academy Awards this year, what in the hell would you write about?
Well, the fact that everybody watched these things at home with no pants. I mean, you would start with that. You would start how the audience experience changed this year. And I mean, not all. I mean, they probably were wearing pants for Trolls World Tour, which did $100 million of people planting their kids who had not been able to go to a movie for 3 months in front of the TV to watch Trolls, or Mulan. But that, I mean, there would be actually this year there would be a whole welter of stuff to talk about because it's not like no other year. I don't know what they pushed back to the 5th, and I don't know if we're gonna go for a host or have no host or be virtual or do what the Emmys did. I mean, I think they go there every day thinking, what are we going to do with this thing, and when are we going to open this fucking museum?
Yeah.
They have many balls in the air at that thing.
And before we jump into Star Wars stuff, I do want to ask a Hollywood Squares question. I want to know. We kind of talked to you about what it was like working with all the comedians and all these. What was it like just corralling all these funny people into the Hollywood Squares and writing for all them?
We shot 36 days a year. We would do 5 shows a day. We would do a week in a day, and it would be chronological. So the first show we would do at 10 o'clock in the morning would be the Monday show. And the last show we would do in the afternoon was the Friday show. during which time there had been lunch and lots of wine. So the last 2 shows were much looser than the first 3 shows. And in fact, but the audience seemed to like that because the people watching them on Friday wanted it to be more fun because they were coming into their weekend. And Monday was like, they were as slow as we were. So it worked out well. But because you were a whole day with these people, it was a lot of fun. Everybody came staggering in the morning, and I have to brief them all on what they were going to say, what their questions were, and their bluff answers and their joke answers. You didn't tell them the real answer. I didn't know the real answer because if the contestants thought everybody knew the real answers, they would just agree with everything. There'd be no game. So we had to tell let them know what they were in for, and then we would have breakfast and climb up into the squares, and it was just a lot of fun, and everybody was pretty much on good behavior because there were 8 other people kind of going, hey, shut up, I want to get home tonight. I want to get out of here. I'm tired of the retakes, So people were pretty game, and even when they worked different angles on the thing, that's not exciting. Patty LaBelle, I pretend she knew the answer and give them the wrong answer. And I said, well, they're just not going to call on you unless they have to. And since you're up on the top left hand, you're not a crucial square. Then they don't have to go through you unless they absolutely need you to win or block. They're going to leave you alone the whole day long. But they watch the show, the upcoming contestants, and they plot their strategies too, and they will avoid you. So you have to start being nicer to them. And he sent me something to bake, a sweet potato pie or something. He's a big cook.
And my last Hollywood Squares question, and then I'm gonna we're gonna move into the other section. Let everybody else take over. Is do you have any salacious dirt from the stars of the Hollywood Squares you can reveal to us without getting sued?
Salacious dirt on
any stories that happened?
Oh, not really. Well, Friday, I mentioned that the Friday when we've been drinking, Friday was sometimes pantless Friday, where everybody would sit in the square with no pants. We would all make a pact, and we'd all climb up into our squares, all your still at the top, and we would do little jokes about that, about gerbils running loose and that kind of stuff. And then they upped the ante on the game. They made it. They gave a bonus round. Yeah. And if you won, you got the Mercedes or something. But the bonus round, you would choose the square, and that person would have to come down and do a separate thing on a podium in front. So you had to wear pants. So that kind of put the kibosh on Pantless Friday. Well, I really did want to go down there with no pants and just a T-shirt and answer questions seriously. But there were no. There was nothing really. I wish there was something salacious, and there was no time. You would boom, boom, and there would be people would dance around at lunch, but no. The closest, I guess, was Anna Nicole Smith, who was really bombed. She was just really bombed, and after they stopped calling on her because she was also, we moved her out of back to a square where she wouldn't get too much traffic. But she was in bad shape. Really couldn't handle it.
All right.
The only thing she said to me was, "Ha! Can you get me a corkscrew?" That was all she said to me all day long. I think she meant to open the wine, but she may have meant something else. Exact code, girl. Tell me.
He's going to get us in trouble tonight. This is awesome.
I'm so sorry. But she was actually I did another benefit with her, and she was very warm. She told me she was really scared that day because this was out of her comfort zone.
So we are going to move into the part of the show that everybody is here for, the Star Wars Christmas Special 1978. I just got to tell you.
Holiday Special. Please, we took the Christmas out of it. We're the ones.
It's all because of you, Bruce.
It's a Star Wars holiday special.
That's right. That's right.
Hanukkah. I don't think there was a Kwanzaa yet, but we were George invented a holiday, Life Day.
Yeah.
So he didn't want it to be Christmas because Chewbacca was going back to Kashyyyk to have a Life Day celebration. That was George's holiday. He was hoping it would kind of be like Festivus for the rest of us, but not so much. But I understand they do a shout out to it in the Lego special.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I've heard that leaked out somewhere. So the Star Wars Holiday Special.
The Star Wars Holiday Special 1978. Everyone here recently watched it with either today, yesterday, or the day before. So I'm going to throw it over. Let's start with Ben. I'm going to throw it to the group. Okay, Bruce, we all love you. We love it.
Jim right here.
Here we go.
Whatever.
Let me apologize.
I was by PBS earlier today, so I'm ready.
I'm not gonna rip you like PBS did, those assholes. I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan. I had never seen the holiday special because I'd always heard how terrible it was and how it, don't watch it. It's 90 minutes of horror. And so I had
2 hours
this afternoon
with a commercial.
Well, with commercials, yeah.
Commercials gave you a chance to evacuate.
The whole thing's on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Yeah,
You can watch it right now.
I know.
And so I watched this thing, and one thing I really did appreciate about it was I sat there and thought of, in the historical context, this was the first expansion on Star Wars. Like, there was Star Wars, and then there was the holiday special. There were no books, there were no video games, there were no extra movies, there were no TV shows, there was no Mandalorian, which they also mentioned Life Day in the series premiere of The Mandalorian on Disney.
That I saw, yes.
I thought I got to mention somewhere in there. Thanks.
Warmed my cockles.
And so I was just thinking about it. I was like, oh, that is kind of cool for me as a fan of the series to think this was the first that was extra. This was before Empire Strikes Back. This was before anything else. This was the first thing where we got another glimpse. And that glimpse started with 20 minutes of Wookiees talking to each other with no subtitles. Just growling and roaring at each other with no discernible dialect. Did you write dialogue for that scene, or did you just say the Wookiees roar at each other for 20 minutes?
We had a story from George indicating what happened, what he wanted to have happen, but then we had to bend it a little bit to make it logical, to give the thing a narrative that made sense, and also, of course, to insert guest stars. I mean, when George stole the thing, I mean, he did it as a promotional device, but when he stole it, I think he didn't expect. He thought they'd make an original musical out of it. I don't think he expected they were going to do a variety special. I don't think he really knew what variety specials were. I doubt that that was in his world. Yeah. So he had this story. He had a bunch of the stories, and he knew he was never going to make this movie. And he had other stories that were already in the works. They just didn't appear. There was a novel called The Mote in God's Eye, I think, that was one of his stories. That was turned into a novel that was published shortly after the special was on. So there were other things in the works, but this was the first thing to actually show up. And it was kind of a placeholder. It was because he hadn't started shooting The Empire yet. So he just wanted to kind of prime the pump and keep the characters going. The characters had all shown up on variety shows. I mean, they were on Donnie and Marie. I wrote a thing for them on Donnie and Marie. They were on 2 or 3 other shows. Maybe, I don't know, there was the Sunny Sarah then, or there was somebody. There were other things that they showed up on. But this was the first independent thing. So, is that what your question was? I forget. I'm so long-winded.
I was just asking if you wrote 20 minutes of roaring. But,
I wrote it. Well, yeah, and it was terrible. I mean, one of the things we said was, I mean, the people. You have two lightning-fast appearances. One by Harrison with Chewbacca, and one by Mark Hamill with more eyeliner than Zorro the Gay Blade.
Yeah,
he had so much eyeliner, and they were very brief, and they were basically Morris the Explainer. They were setting up the plot, and then there was this tender domestic scene that went on for fracking ever, at the house, broken up by like a sort of like part of Cirque du Soleil, these little group that was in Cirque du Soleil doing that weird little thing that you had to be as stoned as I was to actually sit. And then Harvey Korman, which immediately put it in variety special land. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but there had to be something. We had to bring in Art Carney. I mean, we had to kind of get the thing moving. I mean, he didn't have that much of a story. And I think had he actually made a movie of this, well, it would have been way back in the history of the canon, and he would have had a lot explaining of a lot of more in-depth stuff. But we wanted subtitles. We argued, we lobbied for subtitles, and the network wouldn't let us because it's hard to believe this, but 45 years ago, people wouldn't go to the movies with subtitles.
Wow.
They would go. Foreign pictures were dubbed, and they were in the bigger markets. They got subtitles. The irony is that now, any of the Star Wars movies of the second wave of Star Wars movies, half of the pictures are sub. Lupita Nyong'o does not speak a word of English in any of those Star Wars movies. Every single line she has is dubbed, is underneath. And I don't even think that she's saying the words in whatever language she's speaking. I think she's doing a mime performance. And that shows you how different that would never have been allowed, certainly not on network TV back then. If they'd let us do that, it would have been a whole different thing.
Now, was this
good?
Was this a follow-up to that? Go ahead, Ben.
Well, I was just going to go on because you mentioned Harvey Korman, and I thought out of obviously Harvey Korman is so bizarre, and there was the whole cooking show scene, and he had extra arms, and I was like, okay, I know what I'm for at this point. But then I thought actually Harrison Ford showed up and committed to being the character of.
He was good
one day, yeah.
And he just played the character like he plays them in the movies.
Yeah.
I was also shocked at Mark Hamill. I was just like, who put it was bronzer and eyeliner and
his makeup looked like me trying to do my own makeup in every stage show I was in high school.
Yeah.
Which ties to my question.
I forgot until I saw it the other day. I thought, wow, how'd that happen?
Was this after the accident?
So Forest Boy looking, and I don't know. It was, he was aware. So
yeah.
Did it have to do with the accident? Because I know he got in the car accident where he had to have the plastic surgery and other stuff.
The accident was after this, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, it was after. Okay.
Totally different. Yeah. I mean, this is the old Mark face, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, the original. Because he had to have a lot of reconstruction and look different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Samblings, Derek and Danae, you guys. I know, Derek. You were texting me today while you were watching it and sending me videos.
Yeah. So I had seen moments before, and that was about it. I had found it on YouTube, and watching it this time, it was what I was wanting, actually. It was what I was in the mood for, and it hit the spot. My wife was watching with me. My wife ran off to the chiropractor this afternoon, and I was about to start it, and there was that little scene on the Millennium Falcon, and I'm like, no, Laura needs to see this too, because I do not want her to miss it. And then we've got 3 foster kids right now, and the ones who were napping woke up during watching it, and I realized, I hope no one in the foster system knows that we're giving these kids this as their first exposure to Star Wars, because they'll take them away from us.
You mean they haven't seen any of the other things that are?
No, these kids are 3 and under. They're really little. Yeah,
not even. We were watching it, which is what it's really known for.
Perfect audience.
Other than being bad, it's known for introducing Boba Fett to the.
Yeah. Wait. Let me show you something. I've actually got the Star.
Okay. That's cool.
See, I got this at Star Wars Celebration, the lunchbox of the Star Wars Holiday Special with Boba Fett.
Oh wow,
it was great. I thought it was awesome. Luke, you were talking. That cartoon was actually. Did you guys write that?
Great. I mean, George did the cartoon, and I thought it was worth the price of admission, I guess. But the thing of it is, the 2 things I've always said is, it was 1978. We were all chemically altered, including huge swaths of the audience. I would like to say. Number one. And if we'd known that we would be talking about this 45 years later, we would have paid closer attention. But it was just another idiotic television special that was being put together. There were lots of them at the time that were just, you can't believe how foolish they were. And so it didn't strike anybody. We thought it was kind of unusual. And when it came and it got a decent rating, and it some reviews said it was okay, and some of them hated it, and it went away. And then it got discovered when the internet came in, because there were bootlegs of the thing. Because George immediately clamped down and tried to buy up every copy and didn't want. And then the internet came in, and a lot of people who had never heard about it discovered it by accident on the internet. And at that point, the first 3 movies were out, and Star Wars had become like Scientology. It was like a religion. It was a religion you paid for. It was a religion. And George began getting like death threats from people saying, "How could you do this? How could you do this to this beautiful work that you created, this saga?" And on and on and on. And so George, of course, kind of panicked and really wanted it destroyed. And subsequent generations who've only seen the original movies on VHS or DVD or something like that, come across this thing and they feel the same way. And now, but every time there is a new Star Wars, ever since he came back and did The Phantom Menace, every one of those movies, including Rebel One and Solo, every time they come out, somebody calls and says, "Can we talk about that Star Wars holiday special?" Please. So, it just didn't go away because of the internet. It's like, what can I say?
Yeah. Well, I'm with Ben on this.
Didn't he invent the internet, or was that, I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. But I'm with Ben on this. Like, watching it, I thought, okay, yeah, this is just a year and a half after the release of the original Star Wars. It's a year and a half before The Empire Strikes Back was going to be out. And nobody at that point really knew where Star Wars was going to go, obviously. And you can tell, like, the way the animated part goes and the way so many things where they're, like, expanding in the world for the first time. They didn't really know. The people who, like, even George Lucas didn't know everything that was going to come. And, of course, you guys as the writers weren't going to know everything that was going to come up. The production design people, even the people trying to market this, the people who are hiring guest stars, they were trying to put together, like you said, a variety show based on a property that was available.
Nobody ever, in the book I'm writing about how I wrote the worst television shows in history and lived, I mentioned that at the time, people either forget or they're too young to know that Star Wars was like, it was a phenomenon, but it was like a Republic Studios serial. It keeps referencing all of these old Hollywood tropes. Or like, Buck Rogers from the old days and Captain Video. All those things are in there. And so it wasn't considered high art. Mm-hmm. It was a popular thing. That was all it was. It wasn't. It achieved all of the things you're talking about later as it got built up over generations.
That's
so
kind of how
the crime evidently got worse as we went on. It was just a misdemeanor when we did it. Now it's a felony. I can never vote except in Georgia, where anybody can vote. So. Ask Willie Graham, he'll tell you.
That kind of matches with like my thoughts on it because, it was 1978 and it's, I don't watch Adam West Batman and expect it to be like Christian Bale Batman. It's like, it's all still Batman though. And I still love it. It's like, it's just another section of something that we love. That doesn't mean we have to hate it just because it's different.
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed myself while I watched it, even though it is pretty bad.
It's draggy. It's draggy. Draggy and clunky. How my director called draggy and clunky. It moves laboriously because of the structure, because it has to be. It's serving so many masters. It has to be a variety show. That stuff has to be shoehorned into this kind of nonsensical story. That's no real narrative. Will Chewbacca get home in time for Life Day? And he's being chased, and he stops on Tatooine to go to visit Mos Eisley, who turns out to be B. Arthur. All of these things. that's basically what happened. So it's a lot of rehash of stuff. And so of course there's no pacing to the thing at all.
Right. Well, one of my favorite things was Art Carney was great in this. I really enjoyed watching his character. And then one of the first things he does is he just brings the grandpa like virtual reality porn.
That's right. That was George. Yeah, that was George had VR. He had there's the idea of a helmet you put on and it plugs into your brain waves, and there's Diane Carroll. So
why not?
With the Wookiees. So that was really, when you can think about it, it was the first interracial, interspecies romance on television.
That's true.
With
Star Wars breaking barriers.
But I mean, that scene that he's talking about, though. I mean, I was one of the few people. I'm old enough in this. I saw this special on television when it first aired. I remember that as a little kid. I don't remember that Diane Carroll scene, and it was like Itchy, Uncle, it was Grandpa Itchy, popped some drug, put on the skin, and basically it was porn. He was watching something.
It was the kind of softcore porn. It was supposed to be Cher, and Cher got sick and she couldn't do it, and Diane stepped in. And I mean, I thought Diane made it more interesting because she was Diane Carroll, and she was so. I mean, there's an exoticism to her because, I mean, she was just, because she's not rock and roll and she's tempting and, a different type altogether. And I thought that's great for this. It was great for us because, we were dealing in a universe of all different kinds of creatures. Mm-hmm. And all the people we had on the show were white guys, Yeah. And so here's something different. She's a different kind of creature.
Ben, did I step on your question? Were you asking a question? Did I step on?
No, I don't think so.
I know, Luke, you actually did mention kind of what Bruce was talking about, like when we were watching it yesterday, because Luke says, if an editor got a hold of this and just kind of cut out, what were you saying, Luke?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of good, like, heartwarming sections or sections that just feel cool in classic Star Wars. I feel like if there was like an edited down version to like an hour or half an hour type thing with the best of moments, I feel like it would feel good and feel Star Wars and feel very holiday.
There were two directors, and that probably had something to do with it. The first director, David Akumba, who was George's roommate in college, was a very talented Canadian who came down and did it, but he was shooting it like it was a movie. On television in the variety show, the director basically is in the booth calling camera shots. David was on the floor moving around with cameras, and it was going to cost a fortune to edit it, and everything would take forever to shoot that way. And this was not CGI and all of that. These were actually real people in those costumes. So it was they had a big falling out when he left. And Steve Binder, who was a big variety TV guy who really knew how to do it, and came in and finished it and did, in fact, the majority of it. So there was probably moments of tone. The things we're talking about maybe in the early stuff felt more like the movie than TV.
And we have a question here from Jonathan Wilkinson, which kind of leads into another question. Jonathan said, Boba Fett is to Star Wars holiday special as Meatloaf is to Rocky Horror Picture Show. I think he's saying that this was like a guest star from another universe who was jobbed in. Yeah.
And Meatloaf was Meatloaf before Rocky Horror. Mm-hmm. But there was that he was playing a character that was played by somebody else when they did it on stage in London and in New York and out here. But I think they cast him because he was Meatloaf and because he had a personal following. Yeah. So I that's what you're thinking, yeah. But Boba Fett was unknown at the time. Fett was it was George wanted to do a full-length animated feature of Boba Fett, and he couldn't make it happen. So he took this thing and inserted it in the Star Wars. So it's not exactly, the analogy isn't exactly the same, but I know where you're going with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now, go ahead, Ben.
Well, I was just going to say, Boba Fett, if you watch, so in 97, when the special edition came out, they added back in that scene in A New Hope with Jabba the Hutt, waiting at the Millennium Falcon. And Han Solo goes in, and Boba Fett is in the background of that scene. In the full costume. So he had showed up, but they cut that scene out of the original, and he never showed up. So this was his first appearance.
Yeah, I remember when, George telling us that about I got this new character who I'm going to spring on.
One of the great things is I was up in Burbank many years ago, and there was a shop up there that had a lot of vintage magazines and books and VHS tapes and posters, and I can't remember what the name of it was. It was something like Movie World or something like that.
Yeah,
that was a great store.
You know, because of COVID, I remember that story. Yeah.
In the before time.
Part of a railroad track, and there's the story. That's all.
I was in there many years ago, and I pulled a science fiction fan magazine off the shelf from like 1978, 1979. And I was leafing through, and there was an article about Star Wars, and it was the exact same thing that people do on the internet today. It was this guy writing an article of what he thought was going to happen or should happen in the next Star Wars movie. And I remember him writing about, I think, this Luke Skywalker character, he's probably going to take a back seat. Han Solo is going to become the main character in the new storyline. This Darth Vader, he's probably going to fall by the side. And we've heard of this character named Boba Fett. He's going to come in. He's probably going to be the new big bad. And it just cracks me up to look back and think of all these people speculating like they do now on the internet about all of the different things that are coming out back in the 80s in magazines and how wrong they all were.
Yeah. I do.
Got a hand in creating some of that universe.
Who would see the father thing coming?
So, Bruce, I don't want to take up too much of your time tonight. We're going to move on to the next topic here, which is the new Star Wars thing. But I do have to ask you this question, and it kind of tags on to what Jonathan said about Boba Fett and Rocky Horror Picture Show. I guess the Star Wars Holiday Special has, as weird and bizarre as it is, it's somehow taken on this almost mythic underground status. Much in the same way that Rocky Horror has, it's people are rediscovering it, and people are it's kind of like a mark of pride. Like, yeah, I saw it, and to be able to talk about it. So, if I were to, what do you attribute this? How is it able? What do you think is it about this special that 45 years later it's now this underground cult classic?
Well, I think it's probably the essence of camp. It's the failed seriousness, except that we really weren't trying to be serious. But we're campy nevertheless. I think it's because it's grown a reputation of being so awful that it's so bad it's good that you have to. Well, you can't believe what they did it, and because Star Wars has become a religion, it's like it's like the Ten Commandments. Which is hysterical. I mean, I'm Jewish, and every year I think, at Easter, all my Gentile friends watch Charlton Heston climbing Mount Sinai. The hell is that? Even when the picture came out, the Jews, we went to it and said, "What's that?"
Let my people go.
He's the king of the Jews, Charlton Heston. What? Edward G. Robinson? Well, he happened to be Jewish, but Edward G. Robinson is like the breakaway. I mean, it was like, this is so bad, it's delightful. And of course, Ten Commandments has never gone away either. It's one of those things that's on every year at Easter. That and The Sound of Music, they fling at you every year. So I think it's right up there with those tragedies. Except to add to the luster of it is it's underground.
Yeah.
It was something that people had to find. It wasn't intended to be seen by anybody once it aired that night in 1978. And the people can dig it up and say, "Ooh, this was the secret thing, the thing we weren't supposed to know. Nobody's supposed to know about this." I mean, it's 45 years later. Everybody knows about it, but there are still some people who like to who trade in that traffic and that kind of stuff. So that's probably why it's maintained its position in the pantheon of cult classics.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're absolutely right. I think the fact that you're not supposed to see it and you have to dig for it to find it makes it all the more alluring. And the video on YouTube that I watched was a upload from a VHS tape where they had taped it off TV, and the opening of it is that CBS special presentation with the black
background around.
Yeah, like the neon letters, and it's like dunk 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 dunk. And
it looks like a pinwheel, like
exactly. And I just remember
IML must have done this.
Yeah, that
IML is something else. That's International Men of Leather. They didn't do this, but ILM. I've done shows there. I know it's hysterical. Then I go the next morning for the ritual burning of the linen.
All right.
Oh, man.
Ben, you have a question?
I don't even remember at this point.
Any other thoughts on the 1978 Star Wars Holiday Special before we move on to the 2020 version? All right, go. Derek first, and Luke first, and then Derek.
I'm just brushing my hair back, but I do have thoughts. So Luke, go.
My question is, like, what is your favorite thing you wrote on it? Like, what was your favorite part?
That's a very good question, because I'm trying to remember what exactly I did write on it, and it was maybe probably something with Harvey and Dee is all I can think of, because those were two pals of mine, and I had written a lot of stuff for them on other things. So I think it's probably that, and it was a chance to be funny, and I haven't. I mean, some of it's funny, some of it is. It's hit and miss, and the thing about, as I've said, the thing with Harvey doing Julia Child, it was a one joke thing, but I mean, we were really we were locked into something that had to be kind of galactic, and so to have him do Julia Child as an alien was a funny look, but you couldn't really build on it. When Dan Aykroyd did Julia Child, the idea was, what if Julia Child cut her finger and bled to death during a cooking demonstration? Yeah. And so that's an idea. That has a beginning, a middle, and an end. This had no idea. It was just like, let's put him something with 7 arms and have him cooking and doing little jokes about what he's cooking. And it lasted. And then they kept cutting away to Mala trying to do this stuff, The Wookiee, with I don't know whether or not she has opposable thumbs. We never figured out. But so we were hamstrung a lot by what we had to do, and had to move the plot along, and Dee had to be strong. She was in her Statue of Liberty mode, and she couldn't be terribly caustic. She was Maud at the time. Yeah, and so, Stock and Trade was coming in with the zingers. And God will get you, Walter, and that kind of stuff. And she couldn't really do that there. And she only was there. She wanted to sing a very serious song. She wrote in a Brecht song she wanted to sing. She said this by Kurt Weill and Bertolt Brecht. She said, actually, it was the Alabama song. You may know it. Frank Zappa did it. Oh, show me the way to the next whiskey bar. And it had an underground following. And she wanted to do that. And Bertolt Brecht's estate said, no. Bertolt Brecht did not write this song to be sung at the cantina on Tatooine with a bunch of aliens, with Scotch tape and Elmer's glue all keeping their heads together. They were kind of cut-rate aliens. Couldn't use the real one. We had to use what was left in the warehouse.
Now, speaking of the cantina, just real quick, so there's that guy that was just in love with the bartender. Do you think in the end he got her, or do you think that was just a short little moment, the little heartbreak that guy went through, feeling all lovesick about her?
That was Harvey in the bar, right? Yeah. No, I don't think he got her. I think probably somebody zapped him on the way out, or
probably
whatever was in the Bantu drink, or whatever they call it.
Derek, you had a question.
Yeah,
the drink that cost $25 at Disneyland.
Yeah. Oh, that's the cheap one.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the blue one with the dry ice.
Yeah.
Good though.
Yeah, that Mos Eisley scene. Like I was
Have
commenting.
You ever been to the pop-up bar on Hollywood Boulevard?
Yeah.
The villains and
Scum and Villainy?
Rascals and Villains. Is
Scum
that what
and
you call
Villainy,
it?
I think it's permanent, right?
Yeah, it's
I
permanent.
think, yeah, it started pop-up and it became permanent. A friend of mine had a birthday party there, and it was a lot of fun. It was, I mean, expensive blueprints, things like that.
Yeah, it was cool.
But
I've been there once.
It's gone now, but maybe it'll
I was
make it-
there. I was there right as COVID was getting started, and things weren't totally locked down yet, but nobody was going out, so I was able to get easy street parking, and
Really? Exactly.
just walked in.
Free parking in Hollywood, man.
Yeah, and it was like a Saturday morning. I met up with some buddies, had a little brunch there. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
But there's no question.
Great. Oh no, I was gonna comment. Like, it's amazing how relevant that Mos Eisley scene was now, just because she's like, the Empire's closing us down. There's a curfew. Everybody's got to go. And like,
And
I
everybody's
feel you.
like, "Oh, we want to drink some more."
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, and then
All right.
later the scene. No, just it really got me when you had a stormtrooper that picks up Lumpy's stuffed bantha and tears the head off
Oh, I know.
for no apparent reason that I could see. Like, he was searching for something, or maybe he thought Chewbacca.
They're after Rebel Scum.
Yeah,
They're tipped off that there are some in the bar. So
yeah, and that scene played right after all of the kids had woken up. So thank you. Yeah.
Well, since we're going to kind of zoom through the end here because it just dropped today. The sequel to the 1978 Star Wars Holiday Special is the Lego. What's the full name? The Lego Star Wars Holiday Special.
Yeah.
All right, and so Bruce, you have not seen it yet.
No, I haven't.
I didn't see it.
Oh, and Ben has not seen it.
I've only seen a trailer.
Okay, Danae, have you seen it?
I was able to catch some pieces.
Me and Luke watched the whole thing.
Appropriate for a Lego thing.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Lego
Danae,
piece.
what pieces did you like?
Well, like I really loved Baby Yoda. I was texting, I had to take my car in today, so we're always gonna love Baby Yoda. I was texting for some help with a couple of my friends who watched it. One of them who actually, I have to say, she is a huge fan of the Star Wars Christmas special. I told her that we were gonna be talking about it tonight, and she was like, "Don't make fun of it, it's amazing." But yeah, she loves it. I really love the fact that it's just, that's the thing with like the Lego, like any Lego film, they know how to just be silly and have fun with it. And I think they really embrace that in the best possible way. Yeah, I think my favorite part though was Poe wearing a BB-8 Christmas sweater.
Yeah.
Might have been the best. Yeah.
Cheeseman, you saw the whole thing. What do you think?
I think it was a lot of fun. First of all, I just want to thank Dan Lin, who I used to intern for his company, but he really brought the Lego and the sense of humor of Lego and being this big kind of on-screen presence with Lego. And I don't think he was tied to this in any way, but kind of created kind of the humor with the Lego thing. But it kind of continued through this, and I just thought it was really.
Dan Lin was produced the very first and second and the third.
Yeah, the Lego movies. Like he brought kind of Lego to the mainstream. I know there's the Lego stuff, but they were really well
making
done.
notes.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I feel like
spell Lego.
Q7 purple 5.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like the time jumping and the characters and the parody it did of itself. I mean, like it had kind of like, like a Family Guy would do, but Family Guy has its own kind of humor, but it really knew how to kind of like poke at itself and have fun with it and bringing in the different characters and getting to see a small spoiler, but like Kylo Ren getting to see Grandpa Darth Vader and all that was kind of a cool moment.
It was cool. They were able to jump through time. I saw it as well, and they did all the time jumps, and they even had an attempt at like heartfelt moments, and I thought it kind of felt good, but it was overall just very well done. It was funny, and there was an homage to Grandpa Itchy was out there playing in the snow. Remember, he was back. It was cool.
Yeah, some of the holiday special characters back, especially Chewbacca.
The Chewbacca family.
Yes,
back.
they're all back.
Yeah.
The thing
now I have to watch it. Just have to watch it to see what Itchy and Lumpy do.
I don't think Lumpy had very big of a part.
I hope Itchy.
Lumpy is like Bart Simpson's, never grown. It's just the same.
Right.
Exactly.
40 years later, he's the same.
Yeah.
Are Itchy and Lumpy? Are Itchy and Lumpy like shortened versions of their names, like Chewy?
I was wondering that too.
Yes. Itchy's name is Atitichuk. Atitichuk, and so they call him Itchy so you don't confuse him with a Mongol emperor. And Lumpy actually had two names, Lumpa Rumpa Wama, but sometimes it would appear in the story as Lumpa Wumpa Waru. Which I said that's his name in Australia. And literally on the story, we read the story. It says, "Is this the same? Is there another lump character, or is this the same lump? I mean, how many lumps do they have? One lump or two?" But those are actually the real. And Mala's real name is Mala. It's Maladonna something. You know how all the names in the universe have two consonants when there could be one, and three vowels, and it's like Hawaiian. It's like speaking Hawaiian. It's just the same. It's kind of the same when you put it together. And I also don't know what I guess that's Hashit language, but it translates to every other part of the galaxy, which is a neat trick. But
It is neat. But I did enjoy the Lego special. The thing that was so clever is there was a time travel element. I don't want to ruin it for those of you who haven't seen it yet, which allowed them. I know I'm not giving away. It allowed Rey to basically visit every part of the Star Wars universe, every bit of canon, everywhere, and it was cool. Done, Ben. Done.
Those Lego movies are really clever. They're really clever and funny, and they're hip, and they're. It's the other thing. That is designed. The stuff now is designed for people for parents who are hipper than our parents were. You know what I mean? They were like people my age. I mean, but younger than me. I mean, they grew up in a much kind of a different, snarkier kind of humor was prevalent, and so that's what they use in those movies because that's what that audience relates to. And our stuff was really still being written in the era of kind of vaudeville sitcom.
Yeah. And Jonathan Wilkinson had a comment. He says, "Yeah, his last name is Wilkinson, but his full second last name is Wilkinson, son of a bitch."
Wilkinson, son of a bitch.
Well, Wilkinson
only used by his neighbors when he rehearses the drum solos.
Yeah.
All right. As we do kind of draw to a close here, I want to see if anybody else has any kind of last thoughts on 1978 version, 2020 version, or any questions. I just have a couple last questions for Amy Schumer here.
Well, I mean, the 1978 version is definitely the best Star Wars holiday special I have ever watched.
Oh my God! Well, now you're going to have Lego people, stalking.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's got to at least be in the top 2 of ones that are out there. So that's an achievement.
Yeah,
I'll drink to that.
I do have a question, and then I'll go back to Danae. But like, Bruce, 45 years later, what's your personal assessment of the 1978 Star Wars Holiday Special?
Well, I think, as I said before, if we'd known we were going to be talking about it, we would have paid closer attention. It's one of these disposable things that comes back, and you go, "Well, what's that? How does that marry to today?" And it got. I wish there was some perfect analogy of something that started out sort of small and inconsequential and grew into something monstrous. Maybe Donald Trump. That's a good analogy. I mean. When he appeared on the scene, he was kind of harmless and funny in a reality show, and who knew he was going to end American democracy?
He was in Home Alone 2 as well.
Yeah, Home Alone 2.
Home Alone 1, Home Alone 2.
What?
I mean, he wasn't even in the original.
Yeah.
Right. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
This is how down market he is.
So any other closing remarks, guys, before we let Bruce go?
Did you get to keep anything from set or any kind of prop or the original scripts or anything from making this special?
I do have the scripts. They have gone to the Smithsonian. No, not well. If they ask, they will. I mean, some of them I sent over to. There's a collection at Ohio State where I went. That
Wait, what? You went to Ohio State?
I went to Ohio State.
What?
AHIA. Aha.
Look at
The big farm. I'm about. Really? Oh my God! Are you a Buckeye?
Yeah.
My mom was, but I went to art school in Columbus. But I lived in Columbus, Ohio, before I moved to LA. New Albany, Ohio, actually.
Oh my God! I know very well. I was 5 years. I was there, and getting 2 different degrees. I loved it, but it was so different. You know, when I lived there, the short north was what your life was if you walked down those streets at night. Now it's trendy gay neighborhood, the short north, between campus and downtown Columbus. There was a DMZ that you just didn't go into unless your name was Shaniqua and you were selling something. I mean, you just didn't go in that. Stay away.
Ben, you had
now it's a whole different thing. Now,
yeah.
Columbus. I mean, tech changed Columbus a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, tech moved in and diversity happened and a lot of stuff. And now they have a major league team. They have a hockey team. So.
Blue Jackets.
Blue Jackets. There you go. OSU was the major league team. It was the only major league team.
Yeah,
that's why there was so much rabid support because
still is in my mind.
Very good.
Ben, you
Did
had
we
a
beat Michigan this year? That's all I know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, as a kid who grew up, I was the youngest kid of old parents, and I grew up watching a lot of reruns of old variety shows and the Brady Bunch and Gilligan's Island and 70s TV and 80s TV, and grew up a big Star Wars fan. And as I watched talk shows, Letterman and Leno and Carson and Conan and all these guys in the 90s, the name Bruce Vilanch always came up randomly in random places.
Wow.
As I was watching television and movies and things like that. And so, tonight to combine that with my appreciation for the universe of Star Wars, as an actor and a writer myself, for the appreciation of filmmaking and writing, it's just been an honor and a pleasure talking with you tonight. And you've made me laugh so much, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, Bruce.
Happy to do it. Delighted. You're a great group.
I concur, Bruce. I miss, even though I know people consider it a little bit less sophisticated, I miss the days of variety shows and corny guests coming on and telling silly jokes and stuff like that. I mean, what changed, or what's different between?
Well, what changed was commercial television. That was all commercial television, and cable came in, and then much later streaming. But once cable came in, it ended because you could say anything you wanted to say on cable, and the networks. The only place you could do that on the network was SNL, and even then you were towing the line. Now it's gotten SNL does whatever they want, and the other shows come along, they basically can do it as well. But there was no longer any home for that kind of stuff because people wanted outrage and they wanted cutting edge, and that was all kind of like old school. And so it kind of drifted away. And also the kind of people who would front a show like that are not thick on the ground. Where's Carol Burnett? Where is somebody who could actually do a show like that? And this is from somebody we've tried to pitch shows like this. Nathan Lane was desperate to do a variety show.
Yeah.
And they just wouldn't buy him. He did 3 failed sitcoms.
Yeah.
And we kept saying, put him in a variety show. He's the guy. He can cover the waterfront on this stuff.
Yeah.
Because he's got the attitude. And we just couldn't say. But people tried. Dana Carvey tried. Maya Rudolph and Marty Short tried a show. It's just the ship sailed, I think, on that kind of thing.
Well, it was announced today that Conan and Jonathan Wilkinson's reminding us of this. Hey, Conan is moving to HBO for his own variety show, Ben. If you didn't know.
My camera died, and so I'm frozen on the screen, but I'm still here.
I know.
Very pleasant look.
He's doing HBO Max.
Yeah, HBO Max. That's right. That's
HBO
right.
Max, so you can stream it anytime. So it's another animal, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I love that Ben's picture is frozen with this look on his face.
I know this.
It's perfect.
Yeah, right.
It's very
I
pleasant.
like that.
I think we could end the show on that. That's,
Wait.
Someone's doing something to him off camera that's very pleasurable.
I was like, either that or I've got a giant bong just off screen.
Yeah.
Hey, Bruce, one last
That's a cleaned up version of what I was talking about.
Jonathan Wilkinson has asked this question a couple times, and we didn't get it in, but he wants to know, did you enjoy Fanboys with a Z? Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
I
didn't.
Does anyone know what that is? I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
What
the movie Fanboys. It's about a bunch of Star Wars fans.
By Adam S.
who-
Goldberg.
Yes, thank you. I always forget that because I love him.
Yeah.
But it's a group of guys before the prequel trilogy is ever out. Like these guys, one of their friends is dying of cancer, and so they put this whole plot together to break into Skywalker Ranch and get a look at a cut of the Phantom Menace before it's released.
I've heard about it. I haven't
Yeah.
seen it. I've heard about
All
it.
right.
It's fun. It's got like a bunch of big cameos from different
Who did
people.
you-
Like William Shatner shows up in one scene, and Carrie Fisher's in another scene, and
Seth Rogen's in it.
Yeah.
The kid who played McLovin, I can never remember his name.
There I am. Hey, Bruce, thank you so much for appearing with us tonight.
Thank you.
It's been such
Great.
a pleasure. Before you go, though, you say, is there anything you want to promote? You say you're working on a book?
I'm working on a book I'll come back when I've got the book so I can, hector people into buying.
yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
No, I got nothing.
That's
to
not
promote.
easy work.
Working a lot, but nothing to promote at the moment. So,
All right. Well, we just
Sitting
appreciate
here.
you coming on and I'm sorry.
I'm sitting here pantsless typing.
Yes.
Any messages to the Academy?
That was the rule for tonight. Nobody could wear pants. So, Bruce, thank you so much for coming on to the Con Guy Show tonight. We hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you enjoy the show, just like us, follow us. Check us out at theconguy.com. Who else do we have, and where can we find you, Danae?
I'm Danae. I'm a writer. I just wanted to show I've got finally a copy of my book to show off now.
Yeah.
It came in, and I'm so excited about it. Queen of Hell, retelling of Persephone in early America. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram at DNAYS.
All right. Cheese?
I'm Cheeseman. You can find me here at Cheese on Couch, both on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me on The Con Guy and The Scare Guy, the websites and the social medias.
All right. Derek?
Hi, I'm Derek. You can find me here on The Con Guy. You can find me on The Scare Guy. And other than that, if you can find me, then I've made a mistake.
All right. And before we head to Ben, Bruce or Amy, if people want to find out about what's going on with you or hearing you
The
talk
best
about
is to go. There's a website called WeGotBruce.com.
WeGotBruce.com.
WeGotBruce.com that tells everything about me. It's run by a fan in Florida, and he knows more about what I'm doing than what I'm doing. And you can leave a message for me there, and it'll get to me.
Fantastic. And last but certainly not least, wait.
Oh,
Ryan celebrating The Mandalorian.
Oh, baby.
Bruce, for context, this is our friend Ryan who loves The Mandalorian, and that was his dance the first day that the season 2 came out.
Well, the trailer for season 2, I
You know,
think, it was early.
they took a Baby Yoda in SpaceX. You know that?
I saw that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know.
really?
That was, as they use it to test gravity. So they bring
Nice.
some other artifact up every time, and this time it was Baby Yoda.
That's
awesome.
amazing.
And those Disney marketing people, boom, boom, boom.
Oh,
They're everywhere. They're in space, for Christ's sake. Next thing, there'll be 7 dwarfs coming overhead.
and then, of course, Ben.
Hey, everybody, it's me, old buddy Ben Cleaver, looking like I'm taking drugs and being gratified. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at BENKLIEWER. And remember, you can't see it right now, but I am drinking out of this red cup, and that's because whenever Ben Cleaver shows up, it's always a party.
Yeah.
All right,
God.
everybody.
I'm sitting on a Beaver Cleaver joke, but I won't go near it. It's a very old reference, and I can't.
All right.
Anyway,
My wife and
I
I
like
debated
David
naming our daughter June.
Bruce, it's been awesome tonight. This has
June,
been
you were rough on the Beaver yesterday.
all right, everybody.
Favorite line of dialogue from Leave It to Beaver. We quoted it.
Oh, man.
All right. See you later, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Right.
Night.
Good night.